Hello, and welcome to Cappy's Playtime. What would I call this podcast? The routine in quarantine. Perfect.
What are you doing?
Welcome to my podcast. This is going to be dope. Hello and welcome to Routine in the Quarantine with your host, Adam Glass, otherwise known as Captain.ARG. Yeah, so, I wanted to make a podcast for all of you guys who are, in quarantine, and unable, all of you non-essential human beings out there, and, just wanted to bring you some dry humor, and, some goofy humor, some puns, maybe, coming down the pipe later. Maybe not in this episode, but I know in the beginning you saw me walking around doing topics, and I tried to do a podcast where I was talking about those topics, but I'm going to be honest with you, it was really boring. So, this is my second attempt to try to bring you a podcast. I'll probably end up posting the other podcast if you want to watch it too, but I want this to be my first episode. So, in the research chair, we have Bob, the chicken. Say hi, Bob. Yeah. He can't talk, he's a chicken. But he can scream. Listen. Say hi, Bob. It's kind of pitiful, but he's there. Fun fact about Bob, and a shout out to my good friend Noah Abate, who's in the Air Force right now. He's finishing up tech school during all of this Corona scare stuff. The Rona, as it's come to be called, and I will now refer to it as such. But the Rona is everywhere, and is one of the main reasons why I'm making this podcast, to entertain you non-essential folk. But my friend Noah, he is essential. He is Air Force, and he is, as I said, in tech school in Texas. So he is doing some really cool and scary stuff there. And he gave me the chicken from our days in CAP, Civil Air Patrol, which is an auxiliary of the Air Force. It's a civilian-run organization, and I was in it for 3 years. And before he left, he gave me his bearing brake chicken, which what we would try to do is a fun game where we would try to stand at attention and not make any faces or laugh or smile while my good buddy Noah would use this chicken and try to make them laugh. And it was a really fun game, and he gave me the chicken, so now I get to try to make you laugh with the chicken. See? Say hi to Bob. I'll have to reach out to Noah. I don't know what he called the chicken, but... Hilarious. So, real challenge to keep your face straight during that. Anyway, I'm glad we had this nice introduction. Please leave a comment, and if you want to ask me any questions that I can talk about on my podcast, or perhaps you want me to talk about a specific topic, I am completely open. This is a comedy show, sort of, but it is a podcast straight up, so I will talk about whatever you want. I could even talk about politics, rather not, but anything you want to. But it's always going to be a comedic flair to it, because I believe that life should be full of laughter, and right now we have enough sadness, and I don't want you to think about the crippling depression that's holding you back right now from accomplishing your dreams. I want you to think about sunshine and rainbows and unicorns and banana mics. So, moving on from that, I have a list of, in this segment, this segment is going to be called, well, right now I don't have a name for it, but it's a Q&A segment. I looked up, like, funny questions to ask list. It has like 100 questions on here, so I have enough material for like, well, okay, so there's only 70 questions on here, so I guess I have enough material for like, 70 podcasts. But normally I would want to take the questions from you, so I'm only going to read off a few of these questions, and I'm going to pick which ones as I go. I'm going to wing it basically, and I would love for you to comment below and ask me a silly question. It could be a silly question, it could be a serious question. I don't mind answering serious questions to tell you about my life, tell you about what's going on, what I aspire to do with my life because I'm so young. And ASMR, yes. For all of you who are trying to go to sleep to my voice, I have been told I'm a walking sedative. Not really, I got that from an ad. What's his name? The guy who plays Ron Swanson. Yes. The guy who plays Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec. I forget his name, but he's awesome and I love him. And he is a walking sedative. He has a great voice. I only wish I had a voice like his. And a mustache like that. Like, are you kidding? That man can grow... That man can grow a mustache. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading these questions to get your mind off the Rona and all of its horrifying dangers and the fact that it's going to kill thousands of people. You definitely shouldn't worry about that right now. Is cereal a soup? Why or why not? You may have heard this question, especially if you're a Gen Z squeaker who plays Call of Duty. You've probably heard this question once or twice. Maybe you're 11. And maybe you're in like first grade and you've heard this question. But I'm going to give you my insights since I am, twice your age. Cereal is not a soup. And you may be wondering, why not? It's got liquid and it's got edible floaty things in it, and so therefore should be soup, right? No, it's not, because soup you have to cook. You have to cook soup. You always have to cook soup. Every soup you cook. You don't cook cereal. Okay? And those of you who think that you know how to cook because you can make cereal, you're wrong. You don't know how to cook just because you can make cereal. Okay? There's no cooking involved in cereal. There's no chemistry involved in cereal. Because there's something... a chemical reaction is different from a physical reaction, for those of you who are in chemistry. Okay? And a chemical reaction is where it actually changes the chemical structure of something, and a physical reaction is basically something happens to the physiology of it, but it's not chemically changed. It is still it. So like you can have something become wet. It didn't chemically change, it is just now wet. It is now physically wet. It is now physically cold. It is now physically hot. It is not chemically changing. Now, physical changes can affect chemical changes, but I didn't really want to go super into chemistry right now. I really just wanted to answer the question, which I am. So basically, when you cook like an egg, it chemically changes. When you cook meat, it chemically changes. That is cooking. Making cereal is not cooking. You are wrong, good sir, or ma'am, or Z, sir. You are wrong. And so therefore, you should not consider yourself a cook if you can make cereal. I'm sorry. Now, is oatmeal soup? Maybe. It's very possible. That's another conversation depending on whether you like milk or water with your oatmeal. I would consider that a soup, yes. Moving on. I like... What is the sexiest and least sexy name? Obviously, Adam is the sexiest name. The least sexy name is something like Fodsworth. I would say Fodsworth is the least... That turns me off the most. So sorry. Got dog hair on my banana mic. Fodsworth. Those of you who are named Fodsworth, if that is your first name, that's your fault. You can change your name. Just do it. Go as something else. Go like be Fodman, Fodsman, or Foddy. Don't go around calling yourself Fodsworth. Don't do that. That's really unsexy. But like, I guess I can't use my own name. That's kind of cheating. So as far as the sexiest name, something with like an A sound and like a Y sound. I don't know why, but I like those. So like, I almost said Karen, and I'm like, that's pretty unsick. I mean, those of you, I'm gonna probably make a lot of you upset. If your name is Karen, I'm not saying your name is not sexy. It's just not the sexiest. You know what I mean? So like, but like, it has to be like exotic. You know what I mean? Are you Oh, hello, Charlie. You're on my podcast. Say hello. They can't hear you because you're not close enough to my banana mic. Speak into the banana.
Hi.
Very good. I'm filming. I'm gonna have to cut all this out. Yes.
Did you waste a banana to do that?
It's my banana.
I'm saying nothing. Nothing. I'm saying nothing. I gotta get out of here before I say it.
So, yes, sexiest name. Something exotic like River, or like North. I think Northwest was a wonderful name. Obviously, I don't think that I'm being sarcastic. Honestly, I don't know what the sexiest name is. Why don't you guys give me some suggestions? I can think of Fodsworth as being unsexy, but I can't think of the sexiest name, other than Adam, of course. Aaron. Like, for a female. I don't know why, but I like that name for a female. So, yeah, let's do that. I'll say, maybe, I don't know. Okay, moving on. What's the most ridiculous fact you know? Elephants can't jump. So, like, every time somebody says, yo, what's something I don't know? I say elephants can't jump. And whether or not they already knew that, they seem to always forget. So, I often just use that, and it works, like, every time, like, 60% of the time. So, moving on. I'm going to do at least one more, and then I'm going to move on to another set. Or maybe two more. Let's do two more. Because you need to hear my voice. You need to fall asleep to my voice. What part of a kid's movie completely scared you? Oh my word, I have so many. I was a horrified child. Everything scared me. I once believed that there were little scientist men in my fan at night who would plot to kill me, and they would put poisonous creatures inside of these capsules and send them flying into my fan, into my face, and up my nostrils or in my mouth. So I always breathed through my nose because I thought that my nostrils had the proper filtering systems in my nose to keep out or to stop the poisons. So if I opened my mouth, then in that case, if I opened my mouth, then I would have to not swallow. And if I didn't swallow, I would be fine. But if I did swallow, I would have to go through a extensive habit process of expulsing or evicting the pathogens, the intruders in my esophagus by doing some kind of strange motion with my hand, as well as a breathing thing. And then I would picture and imagine expulsing or evicting the pathogens from my mouth, and I could see them in my mind. They would bounce around the room, and they had to land on something brightly colored. True story. I'm not making any of this up. I don't think I could if I tried. I mean, technically, I guess I did make it up because it's my young child brain, but I had OCD when I was a child, and I would look around, and I couldn't blink, and I still sometimes get kind of annoyed when I do this. But like, if I blink while looking at a dark something colored dark, then it would freak me out. So I had to look at something white and blink at something white, and I still kind of do it. It's a little habit that I have. But yes, these little people would live in my fan, and they would constantly try to kill me while I was like 6. I still had weird habits until I was 12 years old. But that's just a fun fact about me. So it's not too far of exaggeration to think that I had issues with some Disney movies that were pretty popular, such as Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo kind of freaked me out just a little bit. The first thing that kind of I think I can think about is the Cave of Wonders in Aladdin. The Cave of Wonders, the big tiger thing. I would always close my eyes. I remember running from the television in terror when I saw the big lion cave, and he was like, "Who dares disturb my slumber?" So yeah, and then I like ran behind the couch, and I was like, "Ah!" And my mom was like, "Honey, it's okay. It's just a cave. He's not gonna do anything." And then he was like, as he like opened up and like ate Aladdin, and I was like, "Hell no!" So yeah, there was that. Yeah, so that was one specific thing. There were so many movies. I remember Kung Pao. Some friend, air quotes friend, I don't remember who it was, but some friend of mine gave me a movie for my birthday, and it was Kung Pao. Horrible B movie. It was impressive. Basically, took like some old Chinese kung fu movie, and it green screened or edited this actor, this complete white guy, into the movie, and they like dubbed over their obviously they were speaking Mandarin, and they dubbed over the sound, and did their own script over the movie, and he portrayed himself in some kind of action movie-esque style, like he was the chosen one or the prophesied one, and there were aliens in it, and he used squirrels as nunchucks, and he fought a cow. Yes, the cow and the squirrels with nunchucks, those two scenes were the only two scenes that they actually filmed for the movie. The rest of it was already filmed from this old Chinese movie back forever ago, like some 60s, 70s movie that they dubbed over, which is hilarious. I mean, if you're going to have a B-movie day during your coronavirus quarantine, please do watch Kung Pao. It is a sight to be seen, for sure. It's not to be taken for granted, because it's a beautiful movie, and you should watch it. That'll be my movie suggestion for today. Kung Pao. Watch it tonight if you get the chance, or tomorrow. It's fine. I'll probably be posting these at night, so yeah, late night television is the best. And also, so with that said, there was this one scene in Kung Pao where he was using like these. Either he was fighting the cow, or I think he was using the squirrel nunchucks on the cow, and his eyes popped out of his head. And this might have been the beginning of the movie, or he actually he hit somebody and their eyes popped out of their head. I don't know, but it was like really cartoony. It was like boing, 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 right? Really, really bad CGI, and it scarred me for life. It was absolutely horrifying. It was probably the scariest thing I have ever seen. And I watched the movie recently. It's not that scary, but it was absolutely horrifying to me. I probably had nightmares. There was another show. Do you remember the Lilo and Stitch show? Yeah, the movie didn't scare me, even though normally those kinds of things would, multiple arms, big eye, lots of eyes, that kind of stuff did kind of freak me out. One eye, but really it was brains that bothered the crap out of me. I couldn't handle brains. I can handle brains now. I mean, I play horrible rated mature video games with lots of blood and gore, and I see brains, and I usually destroy them. But When I was a child, I had an issue with brains and I couldn't handle the nervous system. I thought it was so freaky. So this brings up two memories. There was that one TV, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a movie about a white blood cell, I think, and he's an antibody of some kind, and he's a cop in the body. He's like a police officer, and he hunts down viruses and stuff. Wow, we need one of those guys. We have a new visitor. I'm filming, so I'll be right back. Yes, thank you. He was a cop. He would hunt down pathogens, and he would, do all that stuff. And he had to like have a partner, and it was showing the human body as if it was like a city, or like a country of some kind. Like it was a society. It was really interesting, but that freaked me out, so I never really watched it, and I haven't really seen it to this day. I remember bits and pieces, and it absolutely terrified me. No horror movie comes close to the terror that I felt watching Kung Pao and watching Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch, I watched that show religiously when it was on because I enjoyed it. But I'm going to be honest with you, it kind of freaked me out. A lot of the monsters, or aliens, were interesting, but sometimes they would do weird things. Like this one time, I can't remember his name, but the one-eyed guy, the Cyclops dude, who's really stupid. When there was like a shrink ray or something like that they used, and they accidentally shrunk all the little dehydrated balls that contained the aliens inside of them, and the one-eyed guy ate some cereal, and the balls got into the cereal, and this is probably where the little guys with the pathogens in the capsules in my fan. This is probably where that came from. Ingesting little aliens that are too microscopic for you to notice. Yeah, that's probably definitely where it came from. Now that I'm thinking about it, but it's fine. It's totally fine. I'm not scarred for life. It's just scarred for my first 13 years of my life. So nothing too big. But yeah, so he eats his cereal, and he just gobbles it right up, and he just eats all of these aliens, and they're inside of him, and because they're dehydrated, once they become hydrated in the cereal, they hatch. So they go in throughout his body, and they're wreaking havoc, and he's got like spots all over his body, and he's like diseased and stuff because the aliens inside of him are doing what they do best. That each one of them has their own little thing that they like to do, so he does it. They just do it, and it's great. But he's like getting sick, and they're like, "Oh no, you ate all of these aliens." So obviously Lilo and Stitch have to shrink down to that microscopic size and get eaten, very much so like the show Inner Space, which is another movie that absolutely freaked the ever living crap out of me. I just couldn't stand the idea of Inner Space, and I saw bits and pieces of Inner Space when I was a kid, and I was like, nope, so I never watched it. And I should watch that now. I wonder if that's a good movie or not. It's probably one of those lame 90s movies. It's fine. So anyways, they go inside this guy, and they run around, and I haven't even gotten to the best part. The part that really freaked me out. They were like going through the valves, the arteries and stuff, and it's like disgusting, and I hated insides, and it was giving me a stomach ache, but I did it anyway. Okay, I stuck through like a champion, and they went to his brain, and his brain was like the size, like it was smaller than they were, and they were microscopic. So he was just like really, really stupid. Yes, I'm filming. Yes, thank you. My dog chewed through my Ethernet cord just a few minutes ago while I was trying to film one of the segments of this podcast, and I got really mad. And it sucks. But my dad spliced it back together, so we're good. Now I can play Call of Duty without lag, which I very much so need. Anyways, when they find his brain, it horrified me. I was stunned in my chair. I could not move. I was so scared. The fact that there was something like that inside my own head, and maybe it was like that size too, or actually the idea that it was bigger was even scarier. So many interruptions. Yes, what can I do for you? I don't know, but I'm in the middle of something. It's okay. The fact that there was something inside my head that could be, you know, something like that, but even bigger, horrified me even more. So I don't know why, but big brain scared me too. Just the brain in general was a horrifying thing. And if anything had a brain in it, or if I had to think about the fact that I had a brain in my own head, I would start to lose my crap. So I just didn't think about that stuff. Got really good at thinking about other things and getting rid of intrusive thoughts, because things like that would kind of cripple me. Okay. That was an interesting conversation, and I'm glad we got to talk about my weirdness. I'm sure I will continue to talk about that. Let's see. Oh no! Horribly sorry about all these interruptions, folks. Kind of new at this. I'm trying. Let's see what else. Yeah, I always had weird habits when I was a kid, and movies has always been a really, really important part of my life. And so like I always had a hard time balancing, you know, the movies that I would watch, because certain things didn't bother me, like violence and whatnot never really bothered me, and sometimes language would, but only because I was a child and I just didn't want to hear that. But you know, when it came to like brains, or you know, oh, another interruption. Hello, what can I do for you?
I kind of want to rest today, so no jujitsu.
Yeah, I'm tired as crap. Yeah, my arms are like noodles, and my calves hurt.
Nothing on me hurts. I just want to be lazy, and that's bad.
Okay, go be
You're
lazy.
making me feel bad.
All right, now get out of here before I have to edit
Is
this.
that my shirt?
I said get out of here before I have to edit this. Thank you. Okay. So many interruptions. I'm gonna get an on-air sign so that nobody comes in here, because that ruins the vibe, man, bro. It just ruins the vibe. Okay. So yeah, I had a difficult balance on like what I could watch and what I couldn't watch. I was a very sheltered child, and you know, tell me, are you sheltered? Were you sheltered at some point? Was it good for you? Was it bad for you? What are your thoughts on it? What kind of movies do you watch? What kind of movies would you not watch? Are there any limits? I don't watch anything with nudity in it. And if it has nudity in it, nudie. If it has nudie in it, oh my gosh, what? Okay. If it has that stuff in it, then I probably wouldn't watch it. But I want to know, what are your guys' limits on like what movies you watch and stuff, and like games too, books as well. I just don't read that often. Books isn't really a thing, even though I kind of want to be a writer. I like writing, and if you guys want to see what I write, maybe I'll post it. But you know, I'm kind of in the process of writing a book as well, and I can talk about that another time. But you know, what kind of books do you write? What kind of movies do you want to watch? You know, what is your standards on like the morals of that? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And maybe we can talk about it on this podcast and in a future episode. What TV shows did you watch as a child? I would love to hear all of these comments. Just comment whatever you think. Have a conversation, and I'll get back to. Hopefully, I can do another episode where I talk about these things. But yeah, no. When I was a child, I definitely had a lot of fears. Afraid of the dark, afraid of heights, afraid of, you know, tiny little people in my fan. It was very strange. I had so many habits, and it was so annoying. You know, I didn't know I had OCD until I looked back, and I was like, kind of self-diagnosed it. You know, I know some people have more severe forms, less severe forms. I still kind of suffer from some of the habits that I had when I was a child, when it has to do with swallowing and how I lay in my bed and whatnot. It can be strange, and it's annoying, because when I start a habit, it's hard for me to stop. But I grew out, thank God, of most of those habits and those fears. Now I can watch just about anything, and if I don't watch it, I just choose not to, because I don't want to put that crap in my body, you know. And remind me, I should talk about my rules on one of my future podcasts as well. I have about 42, 43 rules that I've written down, rules of life, and I want to write a book about it one day. I just didn't think anybody would want to read about a book about you know, how to live your life by a 21-year-old. Didn't think that was cool, so I decided to wait until I was a little older and kind of test the rules to make sure that that they work. So yeah, let's move on. I'm gonna do a segment. I'm gonna interview someone. I'm going to go grab someone from my family, and we'll have a short interview, and then that will be the end of this podcast. Thank you. We'll be right back. Bob, cut to the overlay. Hello, and welcome back to the routine in the quarantine. I am your host, Adam Glass, otherwise known as Captain.ARG for the YouTube channel, and I'm using a banana mic. This is my father, Richard Glass. He is the director of the Career Center of the Glass family. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the real questions, Mr. Glass.
Is the banana okay?
The banana is being it's under a little bit more stress than it normally is under, and it's starting to get a little mushy, and it's starting to fail. So I might have to get a new mic soon.
Is it absorbing the coronavirus?
The mic does not have the Rona, so we should be okay.
Okay, good. I'm still not going to get too close to it.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. Don't get too close. Just make sure. I want to make sure that my viewers can hear you just fine. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Mr. Glass.
What would you like to know, Mr. Glass?
That is my name too. Well, I don't know. Who are you? For our viewers' sake, what makes you special?
I'm your dad.
Oh,
That's very special.
wow, quintessential. Okay. What's the most imaginative insult that you can come up with?
Do you remember when you said something yesterday about all your girlfriends?
Yes. And then you said, what girlfriends? That was good. That was very quick. Indeed. I think for me, Larry, which I will interview later, he said that he had a coach once, and his name, I forget his name, doesn't really matter. Apparently he never cussed a day in his life. And he said that his worst insult he could think of, and like if he was like really, really, really upset, was that he would call you a fiddle-faddle fathead. And that was if he was like really mad. So, that I think I'm going to coin that, or he coined it. I'm going to use it.
Okay.
I've decided.
Well, my favorite all-time insult is from Bugs Bunny.
Ah,
Ultra Maroon.
ultra maroon. Yes, I've heard you say that many, many times. What does that mean? What is a maroon?
Well, you figure it out.
Oh, well,
I've called you that.
I know you have, but like for discussion's sake, what do you think a maroon is?
Well, do something moronic. And
I
that's
see,
what it is.
but it's different from moron.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Therefore, Bugs coined it in his way.
Okay, so it's like an anagram.
Not really.
I just I don't know what anagram means.
That's okay.
What does anagram mean?
Well, you can
That's a
make-
question for you.
You can make a word out of letters.
Oh no,
And our mic just corona died.
it's really dying, guys. The mic is dying. I am so sorry. Okay. So like an anagram is a word out of words? What?
Word out of letters.
That's what a regular word is.
Here's the other.
Oh,
ultra-
every word is made of letters.
Here's the other ultra.
I'll interview you later
Why?
because
I want to be.
he almost has abs. Close my door, please. So if an anagram is making a word out of letters, isn't that every word?
Just about.
So is every word an anagram?
I would have to agree.
Oh. I might look that up. If you know what an anagram is, please comment below. Would you mind holding the banana?
Do you want me to hold the banana? Well, that's crazy.
I know.
It's mushy.
Just It's a little mushy, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It needs help. Having some technical difficulties. Okay.
The cameraman just.
I really hope you're in the... Are you in the view? I really hope you are. Okay. Okay, so, do you have anything you want to tell my viewers? Do you have anything for them? I think this conversation has really been helpful. Wait, you're a career professional, are you not?
I am a career.
So you help people get jobs that they don't deserve?
No.
Oh.
I help people brand themselves to get the job that they do deserve.
So you're like people marketing. Isn't that illegal?
No.
Okay.
The people market themselves.
I thought branding people was like assault.
Well, it is if you actually use a brand.
That's not really good, is it? Okay, so you help them brand themselves. What's your brand?
My brand?
Mhm.
Oh, that's a very good question. Career consultant.
Ah, okay. I like director of the career center of the Glass House better,
Okay.
personally.
Okay.
So you worked as the director of the career center at Liberty University for how long?
A little over 6 years.
Oh wow. So like, did anything weird happen to you there?
No, not weird.
You had no weird experiences.
I can't say I had any weird experience.
Do you have any funny stories?
Any funny stories?
Do you have any inside dirt on any of the employees that work there?
No.
Since they can't fire you.
No. They were all great.
Oh, okay. Well, fine then. Keep your secrets. So you have no like weird office stories?
No weird office stories. Now, my staff may have had weird office stories.
Okay.
But, they kept them from me.
Okay. So how entirely uninteresting.
It's true.
So it wasn't anything like the show The Office,
No.
and you were not Steve Carell.
I was not Steve Carell.
Did you do any like racist staff meetings?
No.
Okay. Unfortunate. If I ever work in an office, there has to be at least one racist staff meeting. Okay. So, as I said before we end this interview, do you have anything you want to tell the audience?
Oh, well, in this time...
You're talking about thousands of viewers.
Yes, I know. In this time of quarantine, take a time to reflect as to what you truly want to be and do, and then pursue. Here's a time to actually acquire skills, do things internally, externally, without leaving your home,
Indeed.
and be able to really empower yourself.
True.
So,
The only one of which you cannot do is social skills. Stay away.
That's what we're doing here,
Right.
but it's with a screen.
Right. Yes. With the screen. That's right. Well, thank you very much. If somebody wants to use your services as a career counselor, how can they do so?
Well, they can go to the website. It's rtg-enterprises.com.
Lovely. I might need help with that. Of course, he's my father, so I get it for free. But you will have to pay like $1 bajillion. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Glass. You have the Rona, so weenus touch.
Sorry.
Okay,
Trump said don't shake hands.
right. We'll be. And then wasn't there like a British guy or like some kind of CDC guy? I can't remember, but I saw this really funny video where it was like this guy was like, okay, make sure you don't shake hands. It could have been like a governor or something. And he's like, don't shake hands, all right? That's the rules. And then he like immediately shakes the hand of like a guy right next to him, and it was just so funny.
I am your dad, so
Oh, I get a hug.
You get a hug.
All right. Hopefully you don't get the Rona from that old lady I touched earlier. Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Routine in the Quarantine. I'm your host, Adam Glass. And of course, thank you so much to Richard Glass for that amazing interview. And to all of you viewers who actually watched 45 minutes of this crap. And I wanted to leave you with one last word of encouragement, and that the coronavirus will not last forever. Okay, and either it'll go away or it'll kill everybody, and either way, we're gonna be all right. We'll either be in heaven, in hell, or drifting between the cosmos of absolute nothingness, or we'll be going to college and getting our underwater basket weaving degrees in no time. So just hold tight, okay? Something will happen eventually. I'm expecting the total collapse of society as we know it. So please leave your comments as I directed you earlier, and make sure that you ask me silly questions and have a conversation. And if you really did watch this whole thing and wow, congratulations, and please subscribe and hit the notifications button and like this video. For goodness sakes, I don't have that many subscribers or views on my YouTube channel, so if you do launch me up into the upper stratosphere of the YouTube-ness, that would be fantastic. Thank you for watching, and please tune in next time. I'm not sure when the next one will be. It could be tomorrow. Probably will be tomorrow. I have a lot of fun making this. So please tune in next time on Routine in the Quarantine. Thank you. I need a new mic.